Chevron 1, coded.
For my ally is the Force, and the powerful ally it is. Life creates it, makes it grow.
You failed your hunt. I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Cry hammer, and let's set the dogs of war.
Chevron 2 is coded.
Conan, what is best in life? Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, to hear the lamentation of your women.
It's all in the reflexes.
I'll also say that you're heavy into martial arts, Tai Chi and all that, killer stuff. I suppose we have to register you as a lethal weapon.
Chevron 3 encoded.
And somebody ought to belt you in the mouth. But I won't. I won't. The hell I will.
Chevron 4 encoded.
Do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Chevron 5 encoded.
You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Chevron 6 encoded.
Not for while you can, monkey boy.
Great Scott.
Back off, man. I'm a scientist.
You shall not pass! I thought I'd die fighting side by side with an elf.
What about side by side with a friend?
A day may come when the courage of men fails, when we forsake our friends and break all bonds of fellowship. But it is not this day.
Chevron 7 is locked.
Howdy, y'all. Welcome back to Saturday Night Drive-In, where we take a break out. I hit my arm. Great. I ruined my opening.
What's new?
What's new? Okay. That's a boomer point. Hey, wow. Okay. Hi, everybody. Nothing changes. Everything stays the same. I'm going to botch an opening at least once during the week. Welcome to Saturday Night Drive-In, where we are going to take a break from all the nonsense, all the crap, and just talk about things that are good and fun and remember how entertainment used to be. As always, I am joined by this guy right here, the Ginger Jesus, the man who completes me, Jed, the Hollywood Scholar. Jed, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. I actually just got back from the theater where I watched a good movie. Very surprising these days to watch a good movie. Yes, I know, I'm shocked. And I get to come and talk to two people I really like to talk about a movie I really enjoyed. So overall, it's been a great day, and I'm excited to jump into this movie.
Excellent. And making her second appearance on the show, Jed, we can get people to come back. Isn't it fun? We can get people to come back. It's great. Yeah. Welcome back, Magitek Mags. Mags, it's been a while. How you doing?
I've been good. I cannot wait to get started into discussing Maverick the movie. It's actually was when you mentioned it last night, I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen it in so long. So I, definitely love this movie, and I appreciate Mel Gibson and his art in terms of what he's contributed to Hollywood in general. And I don't think he's as respected enough as he should be. So glad to dive into this with you guys.
I mean, when I was able to come to terms with Mel Gibson once again and understand that, find a little forgiveness in my heart for the stuff he did as a man of the faith, of the Jewish faith, I've realized, okay, Mel's did his mea culpa. He admitted it, and I was able to enjoy Mel's movies again. This is one of the first movies I reacquired because I loved this one, because I had it on VHS, used to watch the hell out of it. And I watched this movie once every couple of months. That's because it's a movie I can put in and just feel good and enjoy. It's very simple. It's got a great cast, and there's zero disappointment. I mean, but as much as I love it, there are two definite things that do annoy me, but we'll get to that as we go through it. So, as always, thanks to my panel for being here, and let's say hail and howdy to the chat before we get going. Hail, Algrim the Strong, good sir. How are you? Always good to see you here. Hail, the Goddess. I was going to make a joke. I'm going to let it go. Hail, the Goddess. Welcome. Glad you're always here. I'm going to cut the Goddess some slack. He was up late last night modding everybody.
Are you all right, Adam?
I'm tired. I mean, I was up till 3 a.m. with Dermy. So, I mean, how else would I be? I mean, just a slightly off topic. I mean, Ballbuster started off with a bunch of trolls invading Dermy's chat because he pissed off some weirdos.
When has he not pissed off anybody?
Well, here's the thing. And it started this week. Dermy's Dermy. I mean, but he's our retard. We're the ones that can beat him up. No one else is allowed to beat up this walking man-child with retard strength. I mean, you leave him alone. He doesn't know what he's doing. So that kind of carried over to Friday, and we had to start off the show hot by dealing with the trolls. And then it threw the balance off. But it was still a good show, but it was I expend a lot of energy dealing with these assholes. And I deal with my own assholes every week on my own channel. So I don't want to have to deal with Dermy's assholes too. But I'm tired, and it's just been a long week for shows and streaming. My brain might be atrophying from both Ahsoka and Wheel of Time. It just might be. Anyway, hail and howdy, hail Kale. Good evening, Kale. Hail Andy Ackup. How are you? Happy Saturday to you too. And I am glad it's Saturday. We were talking about before we got in. Max and I were talking. I get less sleep on the weekend. And it's all Dermy's fault. It's all Dermy's fault because Ballbusters goes to 3 a.m., 4 a.m. It's all his fault. And hail Gizad, hail. And hail everybody just chilling out watching. We hope you enjoy the rest of the show. And if you're watching, have a good time. Hit that like button, whether now or watching on the Reupload. Let's get going to Maverick. Was this 92? Was it 92?
94.
I think it was 94.
94. Okay, 94. Because it was after Lethal Weapon 3, and of course before Lethal Weapon 4, which of course leads to one of my favorite moments in the movie. To me, that is that is right away you feel, because it's a Richard Donner film, and Richard Donner worked with Mel Gibson in a lot of stuff. Richard Donner knows how to make a good movie, and for him to just put in that little Lethal Weapon Easter egg during the bank robbery, to actually have the Lethal Weapon Riggs and Murtaugh tune in there. I love that. I always smile and giggle, and I feel at home. And that's why I say I watch this movie every couple of months, because I feel at home with this movie. Because is there anything inherently wrong with this movie?
I don't think so. I mean, it's a thoroughly enjoyable movie to watch. It was definitely during a time and era of especially the early 90s, where westerns were coming back and being popular again, like Tombstone and all that kind of stuff. So this was, definitely raw and a gritty type of movie, where it's also entertaining, and it definitely has its comedic moments as well. But something that but it's not over the top either. So
it's the Richard Donner effect, where he can seamlessly fit in comedy with serious acting and serious situations. But it also takes Mel Gibson to pull on, or it takes a veteran actor at the time like James Garner, who, of course, as we all know, is the original Maverick from the TV show. That was always what you mentioned. That's what makes this even more meta and fun. That's like, okay, we were smart enough to get the actual original Maverick in here. And, spoilers, make him Maverick's dad. So you can kind of headcanon your way that it's just still all a Maverick from...
it's kind of like in a way, it's the perfect... I wouldn't say the perfect form, but it's a really good example of how you deliver fan service.
Yeah. It's fan service with respect.
Exactly.
And that's a big thing that hit me, was the respect aspect of it. Like, I hadn't seen this movie in many, many years. Only seen it once way back in the day, so I didn't really remember most of it. Like, I had forgotten the twist that James Garner was Mel Gibson's dad. I'd forgotten that. And when it came to that scene near the end, right before they make that reveal where it's around the campfire, and Mel Gibson's just like, "You're just sad, old, and decrepit." I just sat up. I was like, Did Rian Johnson write this script? What the fuck is going on? No, Because I knew that he was the original Maverick, but I had forgotten the twist, or the twist about being the dad. So I'm like, what are you doing? No, stop it! You were doing so great.
No.
And then the final scene brought it right back. I was like, all right, I got you. I see what you did there. Yeah, you nearly got me.
It's subversion done right.
Absolutely.
Now, if you've seen this movie, if you watch it as often as I do, you see the little tells throughout the entire movie. Whenever what my pappy used to say, and every time he does that, when James Garner, he just rolls his eyes. It's like it's all there if you know the twist at the end, and that makes it even more fun. That's why it's got such great rewatchability, because you pick up the little things, pick up this and that. It's so much fun. And again, let's talk about the casting, and then we'll talk about characters. So this is Mel Gibson at his peak.
Yes.
One could say this is Mel Gibson at his peak popularity. 3 Lethal Weapon movies. He's got all the Mad Max stuff in his back pocket. He's done a whole bunch of other stuff. Men loved him. Women loved him. They made sure to get his shirt off in this movie twice, several times.
He kind of he still had that, I call it like that. He had that, like, definitely still that 80s look where it's a very rugged man look. And that's why he was always so popular too. And he always, especially when he was very charming. He knew how to deliver on screen. And it's kind of like when he comes on camera, you pay attention.
Well, that was one of the best parts of the movie, is you could tell that Mel Gibson was having so much fun. Like, there were aspects of that at Lethal Weapon where you could tell he was enjoying the role, but in this one, every single scene, you could feel it. Like, it was just fun to him. It wasn't necessarily difficult. Like, this isn't a movie that should have won Oscars, in my opinion.
No.
It's nothing too crazy. It's nothing too complex. It's just so much fun. And him having so much fun in the role helps the audience a lot get invested in that just fun nature to it.
Exactly.
So I think it's very good at accomplishing what it intends to.
Exactly. And having, again, the presence of James Garner, the original Maverick, and also James Garner. I love James Garner. I have many of his movies in my collection, between my own and my mom's collection, that I can pull from wherever I want to. He is such a great actor. And James Garner can do serious and comedy. He can flip that switch instantly. And it's just so great. And Jodie Foster is lovable as Annabelle. She's lovable. You know, she is just going, the character Annabelle, she is always plotting to screw you over, but you don't care because, again, all right. So let's dive into the characters then. We'll start, of course. I've been thinking all day, how are we going to do this one? As usual, we'll start with the characters and we'll see where it takes us. Brett Maverick. My latest watch through of this now, I was, of course, when you watch this for the show, I'm analyzing the different way, and I realize everything about Brett is a bluff. Everything and now I would say from the start of the movie, but again, the start of the movie is actually an in medias res, and that is one of my only few criticisms. I don't like it when movies start in medias res. It always bugs me. Because then I understand there are still stakes, but then everything up to that point, I know. I mean, take for example the out of control carriage, getting shot at by the Russian Duke. You know, everything's gonna be fine.
It does harm stakes. I've never liked that trope either. And I think the best example of it that a lot of other people adore, probably the most famous example of it, at least in recent years, that I despise, is the opening of Breaking Bad, where we have him out in his underwear. And it's still like that moment, like, how the hell did this guy get here? But it's still like, this is a show that people die randomly. This is kind of like Game of Thrones, where it's like there's no stability in the story of Breaking Bad, at least initially before you figure things out. But they give you that stability, and I think that undercuts a lot of the narrative meat of Breaking Bad to have that moment. As cool as it is, as shocking as it is, I hate that concept always. I've never seen an example of it where I can be okay with it, but I think it ultimately hurts the movie every time I've seen it or the TV show.
Yeah. But despite that, though, the movie isn't ruined for me.
No, absolutely not.
And it's because of the acting and the characters. Brett immediately, I mean, even though it's an in medias res, him being strung up by Alfred Molina's Angel, and we'll get to Alfred Molina in a moment, it automatically ties him to you. You're already, okay, this guy's in trouble, and I feel like I want to root for him because
He's
Just
backed
something about
into a
the moment.
corner, for the lack of a better phrase for it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And you're already feeling that pull of, gee, I hope he kind of gets out of this. All right. But then we get to the actual beginning where he rides into town on the freaking donkey.
That is such a great opening too. I love that scene.
And it's delivered with the great I guess not monologue, the is it, and that's not, I guess the over, what's the term? Shit. My brain's not working today, I swear to God. When somebody's talking, not
Voiceover?
monologue.
Narrator?
Narrative, thank you. Well, he's self-narrating. He's self-narrating, I guess. I'm losing I swear to God, I have a problem today, and it's not going to get any better. It's only going to get it's only 6 PM, and it's only going to get worse for me, I swear. Anyway, he's narrating his own issues, and it's done well, but riding into on the donkey and everything goes on, and right up into the first poker game where he meets Annabelle, he meets Angel, he gets involved, everything's the bluff. From pretending to be afraid from the gunslinger till he reveals that he is quick, to the guys who come in for the fake fight to break up before Angel can fight him. But because we know, as you watch throughout the whole movie, Brett is not a coward. He's not afraid. He's just wisely careful, and he plans stuff out. Because you saw that during the wedding dress incident, he is quick on it. He is quick with the gun. When he catches up to Angel and his crew on the Commodore's ferry after we pick up the story from the In Medias Res, he wastes no time in trying to start a fight with them at the bar. So he realized he's not everything's a bluff. And that fascinated me realizing that today.
Well, and this was a great experience for me. Like I mentioned, I don't remember this movie at all. I had seen it before, but I didn't remember any of this. And so one of the things that stuck out to me is this movie should be seen by a lot of these woke writers these days. Because if at the beginning of the movie, up until they reveal that those 5 guys who beat up on him were paid by him, after that scene, if he were a woman and this movie came out in the modern day, you'd call him a Mary Sue. Because it's like, oh, of course he can beat up 5 guys. Of course he's quick at the draw. Of course he's great at math. Of course he's a great poker player. Like, it just seems obnoxious at first. And then they undercut it all. They subvert your expectations. And it's like, no, this is all a bluff. He's incredibly intelligent, yes. But if he were a woman, he could not be called a Mary Sue. And he's a complex character. Like, this is how they should portray these Mary Sue-esque characters in the modern day. They still need flaws. Like, it's something I was thinking about a lot. Is like, he's good at making people think he's the best at everything. And it's just an interesting comparison to me.
And not only that, it's almost like, you talk about the bluff. That seems to be the major theme of the entire movie itself. It's almost like the director and the people behind the scenes of this movie are bluffing the audience throughout the entire movie.
They are. You're absolutely right. It's all a con.
It's almost like the bluff itself is the character.
That's Max. That's an awesome way to put it, because you realize when you get to the very end, there's nothing better than cheating on a cheater. I mean, the whole entire thing was a scam to set up the Commodore and get his money. Now, of course, Brett actually legitimately wins. He doesn't cheat and again, we go all one of his first lines when he sits down at the first card game. I never cheat, and I only sometimes bluff. Almost never bluff. And then, but he is always bluffing. And again, that is a fantastic through line for the movie. It's all a bluff, and it's great, and it's pulled off because, like Jed, you just said, he's intelligent and he plans it out, and it's all earned because once you understand that he is quick with the gun. Because his father taught him to be quick with the gun. When you know that by the very end, you understand, because you get that one moment when during the wedding dress incident, when everything's going on, it focuses on shit. What was I want to call him Maverick, but I gotta call him right. So yeah, Zane. When it focuses on Zane, when everything's gone, he just does that really quick. Boom, boom, boom. Takes a shot off, and Animal goes, "Did you just fire? Did you just help him?" No, I didn't. But it's so quick. But she noticed. She did notice because later on, you both draw your guns the same way. So it's everybody's bluffing everybody, but everybody's watching everybody. It's a fascinating, fun character interaction dynamic. And that's why, and it's pulled off by the great acting and great interplay between everybody. I love it. Now we mentioned Marshall Zane Cooper. It's just, I love it when he arrives at this coach. And again, if you know what you're looking for, the play between Brett and Coop is just okay. Yeah. We're playing it up here. We're real. I love it. I mean, Jed, I know you love good banter when characters banter. This movie, like you said, it's a masterclass in banter between characters.
Oh, through all of them. And of course, Maverick has the best ones, but his banter, even if it's one way, is always engaging. Like his banter with Alfred Molina's character after he supposedly beats up those 5 men, when he's like, I don't like to be mocked, or I don't like to be teased. Like, even if it's just one-way banter where the other character is terrified, it's always just fun, and there's a lot of layers to everything people are saying, and it's just so much fun. I can't say that enough, is that, yeah, everyone's having so much fun making this movie, and it comes across very well through the banter.
And it goes right to, you mentioned Alfred Molina. This is not a normal role that I'm used to Alfred Molina playing. First of all, you don't realize how big Alfred Molina actually is. He's a big dude. And he pulls off this threatening, they call him the Spaniard sometimes. And it's just, I like the way he portrays Angel as, yes, he's a hired thug, but he's a hired thug that grows to hate his adversary. If you hadn't cheated me, I was just supposed to beat you up, but now that you cheated me, now I'm going to kill you. It's the little things that make it work, because you realize by the time you get to the final 4 in the big poker game, and you don't know at the time that the Commodore is the one that is sort of the one who's trying to get Maverick killed before he gets there. It's the interesting play of everybody trying to play each other, everybody trying to bluff each other. And it's all done through also exquisite emoting. Because, Jake, you just pointed out, Alfred Molina, in a one-way banter between him and Maverick after the fake fight scene, it's all emoting from him. It's showing how frightened he is of this guy. But then later on, the rage is there, and the anger there, the contempt is there, and the arrogance. How you going to know if you can beat my straight? Because it's just like, I finally got you, you son of a bitch. Of course, then the magic happens. All right. So now, Max, we come back to, as our lady on the panel today, Jodie Foster's Annabelle. It's a wonderful combination of a strong woman who's completely feminine.
Yes. And she clearly uses, just like any kind of lady of that time period in her situation and everything, she clearly uses her, feminine wiles and everything else to be able to get what she needs to do and everything else. But it's like Jodie Foster played her character so well. I mean, she just like the little smirks and the eyes and her, trying to charm Brett and everything. It's like it's almost like a romantic comedy a little bit. But because it's the way they play it off and the banter back and forth between the two characters.
Bert.
Yeah.
Also Bert on purpose every time.
So yes, her performance in this movie is fantastic. It's enjoyable. She plays again like a strong female character, but in the sense of it's the strong feminine side of it too. Females do not need to be muscularly strong to be able to show that they're strong in their femaleness, for lack of a better phrase.
And it's her mind. Her mind is her weapon.
Yes.
Her thieving, cheaty little mind is her weapon, and everything is about trying to outsmart these bigger. I mean, her first real dig at Brett is when she shrinks his shirt. It's like, do you have any idea where I get my shirts, lady? Paris, France. and he is livid. It's like, well, of course I shrunk it. Of course I did it on purpose. And right there, it sets the tone. There's going to be it's a battle of wills.
Yes.
Because she knows she's not going to physically beat him. and he knows he could physically beat her, but it's always where's the next turn where I can get ahead of this person and outsmart them before they screw me over. And for a while, Brett wins because he's after the whole wedding gown incident, getting kidnapped by Chief Joseph and convincing everybody he goes off to die. That leads to a whole other stuff. That leads to my next topic of why we root for Brett, in my opinion. Why one reason we root for Brett. So he outsmarts her there, and then of course, in the end, she thinks she's gonna outsmart him because she's controlling all her tells. But then she's got one tell she didn't know he knew because they had the snoo right before, holding the breath when you get excited, and they're all like, yes, you hold your breath when you get excited. Now you got to wonder how many guys did she sleep with there, besides because we know she slept with Coop.
Yeah,
I think she slept with Coop. I'm pretty sure she slept with Coop.
Oh, with what she said in the bathhouse.
Yeah.
They slept together. Do you know what that moment reminded me of?
What?
It reminded me of the Last Crusade with with what was her name, Elsa or
Elsa.
Elsa, who slept with both Indiana Jones and Henry Jones. That's what I was thinking through that whole scene. I just want a buddy cop movie with both of those two together. Those two duos. They need the sequel for that.
Yeah, I mean, so she gets and she thinks she's won at the very end, takes the money, and then we get the second reveal of why didn't you keep all the money in your boots? Because it's gonna be a whole lot of fun getting that money back. And because it's again, she got one over on us, we got one over on her, but the chase is an adventure, and
that's what it is to him. It's a game. That's something he said in the very beginning of the movie. Like, yeah, the money's nice, it's a great perk, but that's not why I'm doing this poker game. He needs to know if he's the best. The adventure, the thrill of the game has always been the forefront of Maverick's motivations. So yeah, losing out on $250,000, yeah, it sucks, but it extends the game. It makes things more fun, keeps him entertained, and proves if he's the best or not. And so, yeah, of course he doesn't care that much. That's why I was not totally against what the movie wanted to think was the original ending, where Coop steals the money, gets away, and he's like, yeah, it was never about the money. And I thought the movie was going to end when Jodie Foster said goodbye to him after Coop got away on the boat. And at first, I was a little miffed that it wasn't. I thought the movie was going on for too long. That's one of my biggest criticisms of the movie, is it is just a tad too long. And I thought at first we can get rid of this whole last 30 minutes, the epilogue, and then, of course, the big twist comes.
The
at the end.
subversion.
So yeah, so I'm like, all right, I'm okay with that last 30 minutes. I still do believe it is padded to an undue degree. It's a little bit too long in some instances, but that last 30 minutes is justifiable enough. But yeah, that's the big thing with Maverick, is it's always a game to him. So him making that decision at the end makes perfect sense from a character perspective. Doesn't come out of left field.
And I think in some twisted way, he's kind of in love with her in a twisted way.
It's not healthy, but
it's not. Oh, it's definitely not healthy relationship. But here's the thing. Here's why we want to root for Brett, because for the majority of the movie, right up until the boat, everybody's screwing the poor guy over. All my friends are cheating me. The what was it? The widow pork chop. The widow pork chop screws him over off camera before we get there. Then his banker friend screws him over when Danny Glover takes all the money. Joseph, we see it happen in the moment when he raises the Duke to spend more and he screws him over. We could have gotten the silly son of a bitch to go even higher. No, don't think about this. Let's go. But it's he isn't. And the funny thing, he isn't really screwing his friends over. He helps his friends, but they all screw him over. So that's what makes us endeared to his character, I think, and why it's so easy to like Brett Maverick, why it's easy to root for him. And also because we're in his head. I mean, that's the other thing, Max. We're in Brett's mind for the first two acts of the movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You almost get the feeling of his adventure, his comedy, and everything else. It's got like a boyish kind of outlook in terms of how he handles life, especially with the bluff and everything. He's just thinking on his toes and just dealing with everything. I wouldn't say procrastinating, but he's basically good at thinking on his feet, and which is why he's able to, get to the bottom of everything, and we finally get to the end where we find out the big reveal what he's all about. But at the same time, like, that's how he's able to um live his life. So
And you say that boyishness, that charm, and
Mhm.
it's even more to me solidified because of that little bit of tinge of fantastical hope that he has of grabbing the card that he's trying to think of.
Yep.
And then again, Jed, we love setup and payoff.
Mhm.
We love that it sets up that he's just always going to try and think. And you never know what card he's thinking of prior to that. I mean, the first time we see him do it, we don't know.
You can assume it's an ace.
Well, no,
That's a big.
I guess so, but I just mean I think the first time he does it, it's for me, it's a good trick not knowing. Then of course the big reveal, the ace, when he pulls the ace of spades.
Well, it's an actual phrase, pulling an ace out of a deck.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
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 That's what he's
I didn't
doing.
know
He's
that.
trying to. That's an actual term. It's something that
Okay.
people always try to do. That's what
Or
actual magicians
somebody has
try
their
to
ace
do.
up their sleeve or something
That one
like
I
that.
know. That one I know. Yeah.
But yeah, pulling an ace from a deck is the thing that magicians try to do, and even like some of the best magicians struggle with that.
But I love that idea. Again, that makes us reveal that I like that kind of hopefulness in a person, whereas I believe in that little bit of magic out there. My old pappy says I'm a fool for it, but I believe in it anyway. And then I think he also pulls it off again after Annabelle leaves for the first time in the epilogue, where he pulls it off and it's the Queen of Hearts.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Seems apt.
I think that was the magic happening there a little bit too. But so that's why Brett is so engaging as a character. And of course, as we said, Mel Gibson plays it perfectly to the T. He's charming, he's roguish, he has that boyishness aspect to it, that rascal, that little glint in his eye, that curl of the smile, where we know he's probably got a backup plan. Of course, he gets lucky when he's hung. That's just luck. But then that's part of the whole thing. He's a gambler, and half of his life is luck. I mean, they make a very big deal. You don't play the game; you play the opponent, you play the man. But there is, when you're a gambler, a lot of it's luck, and it's very apparent that you can't always rely on the luck. But when it's there, it's great when it happens. It's great when it happens. But again, we have the great interplay. So we've gone over most of the characters, the story. I mean, of course, we've mentioned the Commodore played by the great James Coburn, who of course I love his play with Coop, because Coburn and Garner, I mean, they were in many movies prior to this. They have a history of being in the same movies, act together. So having that, they were in The Great Escape. What else is shit?
It's so hard for me to like look at The Great Escape and see them in their older.
Yeah, but everybody's in The Great Escape.
That's such a great movie.
It is it's so good.
Yeah,
we gotta cover that at some point.
Oh yeah, I just watched it 3 weeks ago. It's one of those haircut movies I put on when I'm getting a haircut, because it just distracts me. And, haircut's done. Okay, we're through the haircut. But because my mom was a hairstylist for 30 years, so she cuts my hair. I get free haircuts. So they were in several movies together, I believe, not just Crazy, a couple more I think are there. But so watch them play so easily off each other. Watching it's a comfort feeling. It's like, wow, there's the chemistry. That's the word I want. See, I'm trying to tell you, I swear to God, the words are there. They're this close half the time. The chemistry between Coburn and just wow. Yeah, James Garner, Adam. I'm going to get up for a second. I'm going to walk away. I'm going to come back. I'm going to take a breath. Okay. Hi, I'm Adam. I have a working brain. I can remember things.
Should we start the stream over?
Yeah, let's just start over. We'll play it all over again. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, let's just let's just start all over.
Chevron 1, loaded.
Okay. I'm gonna finish this. I'm gonna finish strong, ladies. All right. So, chemistry between everybody in this cast, it's fantastic. I mean, Gibson and Foster have fantastic chemistry. And Annabelle, Gibson and Garner and Coburn, Garner and Foster. Everybody with Molina. It's all there, and it makes it that much more enjoyable, because Jed, what do we want most when we watch this kind of stuff? We want escapism.
Oh, absolutely. That's the lost art of Hollywood. And escapism is something that I talk about a lot. Isn't just turn your brain off, enjoy action. I've actually had people tell me that before, is that the only true escapist movies are stuff like Transformers. No, escapism doesn't mean turn your
No.
brain off and just not think. It just literally means escape your own life, not think about your own life. Those can be thought-provoking movies like The Prestige or Inception, where it's like you've got to really think. Those still count as Inception, as escapism, just as much as a movie like this counts as escapism. And this movie is great at escapism. I'm not thinking about my own life. I'm not a gambler. I'm not any of these things, but I can relate to every character and enjoy what they're giving me.
It's the suspension of disbelief.
Mm-hmm.
I can believe this is going on by the stream of the story that is flowing into me, that I'm receiving, that I'm understanding and enjoying. I'm completely drawn in. And that, like you said, it's an art form that's been lost, because there's very little. I would say there's no agenda in this movie.
Mhm.
There's not. I
It's
mean,
it's overall fun. The dialogue is fantastic. The setting and the sets, as well as the costuming, is basically perfect at this point. And the thing is, the movie knows what it is. It
Mhm.
doesn't think it's anything
yes.
like it doesn't think it's pretentious. I wouldn't call this pretentious about these types of movies, but it doesn't take itself like it thinks it's going to be Lord of the Rings. So Lord of the
Yeah.
Rings, I wouldn't call pretentious. That's probably the wrong word. But we've seen movies where it's kind of like, they think this is literally a B-rated movie, but they think that they're like on the same level plane as Lord of the Rings writing or something. Like that
Or
sort of
it's
stuff.
like, what do you think of The Godfather? No, you're not.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what is
Yeah.
this? It knows what it is. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but at the same time, it allows the audience to immerse yourself into this world of the West
Mhm.
itself. And it's believable in such a way that, because it doesn't take itself too seriously. It's very weird, and it's a very different dichotomy there, but because of that, it works. And even the comedy aspects of it is fantastic. And is believable for these characters. I love the interaction between Garner and Mel Gibson. It's almost like Mel Gibson understood Garner, and how even Garner kind of comes off in his earlier work and when his career, kind of a little boyish himself.
The
Um,
wryness aspect.
yeah,
Of
exactly. And
Garner, yeah.
but he's also a charmer. So it really works that Mel Gibson was able to kind of repeat that sort of charm, so that it works for his character.
It makes it so believable that they're father and son. Like,
Yeah.
they're dressed similar, like especially at the end where they're shaved the same. Like, there are some aesthetic things that are similar, but it's the behavior that really makes it think, oh yeah, they're
Yes.
definitely related. They're definitely father and son.
And you brought that up. I love it at the end when Coop is shaving off the mustache. Suddenly, he just looks like an older Maverick from the original TV show. It's just there's Maverick from the TV show, and it's symmetry, and it's set up, it's payoff, and again, you're drawn in, you believe it, you have escaped into something that is just fun, and I think again that has a lot to do with Richard Donner. Richard Donner, throughout his career as a director, a writer, he knew how to just make fun movies. He knew exactly what he was doing with Lethal Weapon. He knew exactly what doing this movie. He knew exactly what doing with every single movie he made, a lot of them with Mel Gibson. He knew what he was doing. I'm here to make a fun movie. I'm not here to win an Oscar. I'm not here to write Shakespeare. I'm here to give you 2 hours of a good time and have this be something you want to come back and watch again. As I said, I watch this movie every couple of months because it's a happy place. It's a fun place. Now, like Jed said earlier, it's not a complicated movie. It's a very, how to put this, the flow of the story, it's easily sectioned off. It's not that it's not unpredictable. It's frankly very predictable in how everything happens, especially like I said, at the point where we know that Joseph is going to screw over Brett, because at this point it's established everybody's screwing him over when it comes to money. But it's not a surprise, but it's still fun. We know that we know Brett's going to win the big game. We know he's going to win the big game. But it's the adventure of seeing him how he gets there. It's watching the poker game. It's watching him have the interactions with the other characters and how they're reacting to him. That's what makes it a good story. It doesn't have to be super fast paced. We don't have to go to breakneck speed. This movie very casually goes through its plot points, and it's relaxing. And it's fun, and it drives it up at the right moments. Perfect example during the game on the ferry when he has to break out of his room to get in there. It's just a small adrenaline pump, but it works. And then with a dramatic entrance, and it's like, all right, now we're in the big game. It works. It works on all those levels. And Jed, they keep track of their ammo in this movie.
They do.
They keep track of their ammo.
I know you love that.
I love that because when he has to pull out the Derringer, and it's my gun. It's my gun. I love just because he ran out of ammo. It was good. I like it. All right. Oh God. I am not used to having this mic right here. I keep hitting it whenever I raise my arm. I'm just not used to it being over here yet. Right. So, technical aspects of the movie. All right, story. All right, let's finish with story aspects. Story aspects of the movie. Again, Jed, easy 1, 2, 3 act.
Absolutely.
Intro, getting to the game. Pretty simple. Nothing really to complain about, right?
Yeah, nothing to complain about. It's a little formulaic, but
that's excellent choice of words.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that necessarily.
No.
It doesn't make it stand out over a lot of other more well-written things. But as Mag said at the beginning, it is what it wants to be. It's not pretentious. It's not trying to be anything different. And you can be very respectable. It definitely earns all the love that it gets. So, yeah, simple story isn't always a problem. In fact, most of the time it's not a problem as long as it's well executed.
And Max, the third act is well executed, in my opinion, where everything comes together. We get to the game. Everybody's relationships are at their peak. Even so much that we have a romantic relationship fully evolved between Brett and Annabelle. But overall, how do you feel about the big game itself? Are you always satisfied when you watch the big game play out?
Oh, always. I mean, it's entertaining. It's you're on the edge of your seat a little bit too, and you get drawn into it. It's I don't know. I'm trying to pick the right word that I'm looking for. But yes, I mean, I'm not, you're not
the montage, the exchange, the games, the hands,
exactly.
It's well shot, well executed.
It's all these little details that go into it. And I mean, it's again, the bluff is the character. So it really is at its peak, and it really truly 100% shows itself in the big game itself. So it's a matter of, it's almost like you're trying to figure out what everybody's next moves are and all the technical stuff that they use during that entire scene. It's very
it's fun watching all the different hands going on and people winning and losing and watching their expression of I just lost or whoa I just lost and as it things down farther and farther like the token black dude when he loses, the old token black dude, when he realizes, wow, I just lost $25,000. Oh my God.
I know. Well, see, that was a lot of money back then.
Yeah, that's a lifetime. Yeah. Biggles, we're doing Maverick, 1994, Mel Gibson, James Garner, Jodie Foster. So I love that. My only complaint about that scene though is I don't like the modern day country music in that scene. That pulls me out just a little bit.
Would you much rather have more of like a bluegrass saloon style type music?
Something twang without vocals. I didn't need the vocals for the song. If it had just been the instrumental, I would be fine. It's the vocals in the scene. It's like that's a modern day country song. And that's one of my few complaints about the movie. Every time I watch that, I'm enjoying watching them play so much that I can overlook it, but it's still a slight thing that is, as I said, it's breaking my suspension of disbelief because I'm hearing modern day music inserted into this Western when throughout the rest of the movie, the score has been wonderful and charming. And I get pulled in at the right moments. And this is like, okay, I'm listening to something from the mid 90s. That's one of my only complaints really about that. But but it doesn't detract from the overall enjoyment. And I love watching the big game. And I love watching the playoff. And then the final game. I wish they had shown us a little more of the final game. Just a bit more of a montage of that. That would have been fun for me too. Bit more of the final game. All right, let's see.
It goes by very quickly. Like they spent way more time on, I think, on the first poker game in the saloon than in the final one. I think that's a bit backwards, honestly.
Well, we understand the first one is all about understanding how Brett plays, because it's always making sure that he's watching the tells and we're seeing all their different tells, and we're understanding that that's his big thing: tells, understanding, and playing the person, not the game. Playing the person, not the cards. So that is under that. And at the end there, I would have liked to. It jumps like you said. It jumps towards the end of the final match, where he basically busts Annabelle, knocks her out. But of course, she delivers a great line. Well, I'll just pretend I was playing with somebody else's money. Yeah, you were. You were playing with somebody else's money. And again, but see, that's the charming nature of Annabelle, and it's makes it all fun. And even though she's lost, she's still rooting for him from the sidelines. And again, her twisted love for him at this point, and his weird love for her. It would have been fun to see it played out in a second movie, but I'm glad there was never a sequel. I think a sequel would have ruined this.
Do you think I'm not aware of this. Were they thinking about doing a sequel, or?
I don't know. I have no idea. I've just always, as much as I enjoy this movie and as much of a big smile I have in my face, the same smile Mel Gibson has in the final still, I'm always glad it ends there, because I prefer to think about in my imagination the adventure to chase down Annabelle. But then again, I don't really want to see it. I just like the idea that Brett and Coop are going to go out on another adventure and they're going to hunt down Annabelle across America as she spends the money and cheats more people. I like the idea of it better than seeing it, because probably Donner and everybody involved realize, let's not suffer sequelitis. I mean, and again, Donner, no stranger to making sequels, no stranger, but I think that's the judgment of a good director, writer, creator, realizing we don't need to do more with this. It's fine, encapsulated all on its own. And that's why this movie is a cult classic, I think. I mean, I have no idea what it did in the theaters. I was too young.
I think from when I remember reading about, I think, because what is it? It had about $75 million budget or something like that from when I was looking it up.
Yeah, $75 million budget.
And it looks like in the box office, I don't know if this is accurate, but 183 million.
Let's go to, well, I guess I could go to the numbers. We'll go to the numbers and we'll see. Maybe
it's 183 million. Yeah, so that.
Yeah, I mean,
more than doubled. So
yeah, but I mean, again, we don't know what break-even calculations were for
back in the
then.
90s. It was very different. So I'd say it made money. Not a lot, but yeah, it definitely made money.
But it's considered it's something that's found its place in cinematic history.
It's funny when movies are like that, because I would consider this a B-rated film, but there's nothing wrong with a B-rated film. It just knows, again, like I've said, it knows what it is, and therefore, this is where the cult classics really get their truly get their meaning of their term. And this is a cult classic. It's almost like after word of mouth of years and years and years, and some of us, I was too young to watch it in theaters, but of course later in life I've seen it, I've watched it and everything else. It's kind of like it keeps growing and growing, and it actually ages pretty well.
This movie, that's a great way. This movie is timeless.
Yes.
It's because of its charm.
Yes.
Because of the way it was directed, structured, acted. I mean, you said it's great. Put it. It's kind of a mid-level movie, but with an A-level cast. And it's just and I harken back to the way I started this when we started discussing this, by putting in that little bit of the Easter egg for Lethal Weapon. That's Richard Donner going, hey, everybody, thank you for watching my movies. Thank you for enjoying them. It's a nod to the customer, to the fan. And to me, that's respect. I know you like these movies. I'm going to give you a little taste of something I know you love, and we're just going to go for it. And even have Danny Glover say, I'm getting too old for this shit as he rides away. It's just, it's
That's
charm.
fan service, how it should be done.
It's how it's exactly. It's not fan service to put me in the seat. It's fan service rewarding me for being in the seat
and having a good time. It's like you're having a really good you and the film itself are having a really good, healthy relationship where both the film and you are having a blast.
It's what we call the even exchange.
Yes.
I got what I paid for, and they got my money. And they get my goodwill, and they get us 30 odd years later now. 94, 04, 04, 14. Yeah, 30 odd, almost 30 years later now, still talking positively about this movie.
Well, Richard Donner knew that the audience were his customers, not his consumers.
Yeah.
Because anyone who goes into the movie thinking that the audience are consumers, they're already, like Mag said, coming at it from a very pretentious perspective. And they've already ruined any way for us to engage with the film. If you're pretentious, the audience is going to pick up on it and not be interested.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest problems with modern movies is the pretentious filmmakers thinking that they're preaching to us and so much better than us, and we should just accept and learn and love what they're shoveling down our throats. This film had no such agenda, whether it be political or in any other way. It's just like, here, I hope you enjoy it. We had a lot of fun making it. I hope you'll forget your lives and just have some escapist fun for 2 hours. And we really hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed making it. It's simple.
Yep.
It's really simple, and it's a lost art, like I said earlier. And it's a cheat code to great consistent filmmaking that Hollywood's lost.
That's a great way to say, a cheat code. It's a cheat code that we should all have written down on the inside of our hand or a piece of paper attached to our wrist, tied to our sleeve, stapled to something. It's right there. It's not hard. You're gonna win every time if you use this cheat. Give customers a good time. Give them a fun movie without agenda. And you're going to get something that becomes timeless, even though it is not a blockbuster, even though it wasn't the biggest movie in the world. It found its place in cinematic history and an eternal fan base. That's why it's timeless, because we talk about it, and maybe somebody will watch us doing this week, next week, a year from now, because this is evergreen material. We're talking about stuff, and they've maybe never seen this movie, or they just saw this movie and they wanted to hear somebody talk about it to see if they feel the same way they do. And here it is, just a positive discussion, a fun discussion, saying, hey, this was fun. This is why we liked it. Yeah, we don't go into every little detail of the movie, but that's not how this show works. We're just talking about the broad aspects. We're talking about what's good, what's bad, why it worked, why these are fun, why these characters are entertaining. And that doesn't exist anymore. Go ahead.
Of course, I'm looking at Wikipedia over box office numbers, so take this with a grain of salt, but at least it's, there's some citations to it. But it says it was made it to the 12th highest grossing film in North America and the 15th highest grossing film worldwide of 1994. And then as of 2013, which is a long time ago, so of course it's not updated, the film is the 6th highest grossing Western film in North America. So I would say it was a success.
I'm guessing that's a post, like not including inflation.
Yeah.
So that can't be with inflation.
When I was clipping out the Maverick title for the thumbnail for the video, the poster says, "Start your summer off with this." This was the beginning of the summer season in '94, and it's.
I would love to see, like, if I were, an adult in 1994, I would see this film, because this seems like a fun film to see to start the season.
I was taken to this movie when I was in '94. I was allowed to go see it, and because it was fun, it was harmless. It's a harmless movie, and that's the important thing. It's a harmless movie, just there, as we keep saying, to have a good time. Now, we've mentioned it off and on. The soundtrack, it's a decent score. It's it's really scene based. Jed, is that fair to say? It's all based about the scene.
Yeah, it's very much background stuff for the most part. Nothing that really.
Brett has his theme. Brett has his theme and it's interlaced in there, and so does Annabelle has her theme. But it's kind of just there to make the scene work. Doesn't elevate anything. It's an accompaniment. Accompaniment. I can't say it.
Usually,
Yeah, I'm not going to attempt it either.
I can't say it.
It's not meant to overwhelm or take you out of the experience. It's doing its job by kind of getting you that feel of what's going on and help direct, not necessarily help direct, but help the audience get pulled into the story. And that's basically what it did its job. It's not like a Lord of the Rings score. I know I keep bringing Lord of the Rings up, but like we have to look at some of the standards that were going on.
Lord of the Rings, anything John Williams, where you hear that, you see the scene.
Yep.
There's only one moment in this where I see the scene, and that's when he's trying to break out of his room on the boat. That's the only scene, because that's the scene I go to when I'm trying to remember the theme, Brett's theme, when it gets in my head and I want to remember so I can get it out of my head. That's the scene I go to. That's a weird way for me to connect it. That's the only track that really resonates. Other than that, again, it's a workman-like soundtrack score. It's just there, and it works.
Simple but effective.
No better way to put
the
that.
Whole
Simple
movie.
But effective. Simple but effective. With that said, we're at the end of the hour, so let's just do the scores. Mags, as our guest this week, out of 10, what's your score for Maverick?
I would say, I mean, it's not, of course, I wouldn't say it's the greatest film in the world, but it definitely has, one of my categories that I've added in my life now is basically rewatchability.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of movies, especially movies during this era and just movies of the past, have a ton of rewatchability. So it's kind of, maybe you almost have to look at it from a then lens versus today's lens. So I can only look at it from today's lens because I didn't experience 1994 or that sort of era that young with other movies. However, I would give this a good 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
It's got the charm. It's ageless. It's definitely a classic. It's not something that's it's not gonna age poorly, for lack of a better way of saying it. You can put it on the TV. I think families could enjoy it together with with a more teenage kind of age, kids or whatever.
You're not gonna put a 10-year-old in front of this.
Exactly. And it's got just enough comedic elements to it. The world itself is really fun, and all the characters, I think the chemistry itself is it's very hard to find in today's type of filmmaking, and the chemistry and amongst all the characters, including the actors themselves, just is off the charts. So that's why I give it an 8 out of 10.
All right. Well, it's my choice this week, so I will go next. I give it 8.5 out of 10 because, as I said, I watch this movie every couple of months. But as Jed loves to point out, and I'm sure he will in a moment, objectively speaking, I see the small little things. Like I said, the in medias res always does bug me at the beginning of the movie. Certain moments like the modern day music during the big game and the procedural nature of it is ridiculous. I mean, when I bought this again last year, when I bought the fresh copy, maybe it was a little more than a year ago. No, it was last year. When I got it again last year, I hadn't seen it in a long time, because I had basically not watched a Mel Gibson movie for a lot of years. I remembered every single moment perfectly. It was all as I remembered it, nothing missed. And while that's a good thing, it's also, I will take points off her because, okay, it really is a procedural lockdown movie. There's no great twists. And once you know the twists, you're just waiting for the twist to enjoy it. But it is enjoyable, and that's why it still works, because as I said before, it's timeless. It's entertaining. Mags brought it up. The chemistry and the acting is top tier. Everybody's having a good time in this, and you can feel the energy coming off it. And again, Richard Donner, I love Richard Donner. I love Richard Donner films. They always are enjoyable, and I always know I'm getting a good time. So I give it 8.5 out of 10. Okay, Mr. Objectivity, go.
Well, yeah, you pretty well set up my approach to this very well. I enjoy this movie, so if we were going straight out of enjoyment, I'd be right there with you in the 8s or around the 8. But I do think that there are some issues with this film, like its overextended runtime, some flaws at the beginning, like you mentioned, with how it starts. The ending it just comes like I don't think they do a good enough job building up to the revelation. Like they yo-yo the audience a little bit. I think that's something we didn't talk about. It's like, oh yeah, he's about to murder this man. Oh my god. Oh, he's actually my dad. Like that I see as narrative whiplash for people who don't know the twist. And it feels like a cheap way to turn them away from any suspicion that the audience had. If they suspect, hey, it might be his dad, that scene's meant to be like, no, definitely not his dad. But actually, and I'm not a fan of how that works out. So with all those flaws, I'd probably have to give this a 7 in the end.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
That's fair.
Perfectly fair. Yeah. All right. Well, there we go. We are done for another week. Jed, have you chosen a movie for next week yet?
I have, yeah. And
okay.
I don't think you're going to expect what I'm about to say.
Dude, I never expect what you're going to say. Honestly, I never do. Unless we've been having previous conversations. I never do. Now, it is October, so it's spooky month. Does it have anything to do with being October and spooky month?
It can, but not necessarily.
Okay, I know what my next one is, so go ahead.
Well, I have chosen the movie that made Christian Bale the actor that we know and love today, American Psycho.
I've never seen that all the way through.
I've never seen it all the way through either.
Oh, so this is going to be interesting for both of us then next week, isn't it? Now, I'm not the biggest Bale fan. I mean,
Really?
I'm not a diehard Bale guy. So this could be interesting. I mean, I've already expressed that since we did Reign of Fire a couple months ago. Yeah. So I don't hate Bale. I'm just not a diehard Bale guy. So this should be interesting. All right, and I might as well answer now. In 2 weeks, we're doing Underworld with Kate Beckinsale.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
I haven't seen any of those. So.
Oh, I got them all right there. I got them all. Yeah, since it's spooky month, do that. And, we can't announce it because I'll remind everybody because it is spooky month tomorrow. It is spooky month tomorrow. We'll on the, let's see, go to October. Stupid. Roll your freaking calendar. On October 28th, because that's the Saturday closest to Halloween, we will be watching The Crow. Because we didn't line it up last year, but we're doing it this year, The Crow. And to hell with them remaking that movie. To hell with them doing that. That's an abomination. All right, Max, tell everybody where they can find you.
As indicated below my name, you can find me everywhere at Magitek Mags, either on Rumble, Odyssey, of course, Twitter or Zitter, whatever you want to call it these days.
It's whatever we feel like.
Exactly. Or and YouTube, of course. And you can usually catch me around Culture Casino, Sunday Late Show, on Midnight's Edge, on Mondays on Toxic Femininity, as well as Comics Division for the Monday Meltdowns, and Yelling at Parked Cars, which is now on Wednesdays, exclusively on Rumble. And then on Thursdays, of course, next week we're not doing it, but every other Thursday we're it's Dames and Dorks on Inside All Day Podcast, and that's usually at 8 p.m. Eastern. So that's not happening this coming Thursday. It'll be in the next 2 weeks. So,
and guys, she is real close to 500 subs on YouTube. So go check out Max's channel and give her a sub if you're enjoying her content. And we thank you all, whether you're watching live on the replay. Thank you all for being here, chat. We love you. We thank you for putting up with us, putting up with my retardation every week. We thank you. And again, if you had a good time watching live or on the replay, now hit that like button, leave a comment when we're done, and we will see you next week with American Psycho, apparently. So good night, everybody. Take it easy.
Good night, y'all.
Chevron 1, loaded.
For my ally is the Force, and the powerful ally it is. Life creates it, makes it grow.
You failed your friends. I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
And let's set the dogs of war.
Chevron 2 is loaded.
Hold on. best in life. Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, to hear the lamentation of your women.
It's all in the reflexes.
I'll also say that you're heavy into martial arts, Tai Chi and all that killer stuff. I suppose we have to register you as a lethal weapon.
Chevron 3 encoded.
And somebody ought to belt you in the mouth. But I won't. I won't. The hell I will.
Chevron 4 encoded.
Do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Chevron 5 encoded.
You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Chevron 6 encoded.
Come on, you can't, boy.
Back off, man. I'm a scientist.
You shall not pass!
I thought I'd die fighting side by side with an elf.
What about side by side with a friend?
A day may come when the courage of men fails, when we forsake our friends and break all bonds of fellowship. But it is not this day.
Chevron 7 is locked.